give them an inspiration
Yeah,
message.
I just have to put this slide up probably.
So we do it in two sessions because of the numbers, right? They can't all fit, but it's identical. It's the same.
Same thing. Ah, look there that I'm looking behind.
Good crowd.
Ay, madre propia. No, cambio. Adesso is no, just try that with the power.
You find it?
No, I'm using this one. I'll find it. I'm searching.
And you're fine. And you can stay there. Where's the remote? We have to change the remote. You probably have to change the source.
Source.
No. It should be one of the computer ones.
No, a me lui lo fa attaccare perché ce n'è un altro. Però il problema è che siamo
So you know you didn't find it? Why not? The computer. Do you check the drawer over there? No. You know how?
Yeah.
Ready? Pretty cool. You must be excited. I am excited. Everybody should be excited. First of all, let me tell you this. I know you're here, and now that you're here, you might take it for granted, but this is not an easy thing to do. And what you want to do is, however you got here, whether it's your parents, sponsors, your personal savings, however you made it happen, make sure to say a big thank you to those people that made it happen for you. Lots of people would want to be here, and some can, some can't. There's parts of the world where there's no music programs or very little music, and instruments. Now you're here, top facilities, you got all the good gear in the world, the best teachers, so you're really in a privileged spot. I came as a Berklee student in 1995 myself, from Italy, and I remember back then it was not easy for me to come. It has been a journey since. I actually never attended the 5-week session. I started doing the regular Berklee semesters, but 5-week is dear to me because that was my first teaching job. I started as a 5-week teacher in 1999, and then in 2002 I started teaching at the college, and I've been on faculty since. My name is Sergio Ballotti. I'm from Italy, and I'll be presenting along with Jonathan Hallman, who is here. Let's give him a round of applause. And our job today is to make sure we cover everything we can in 1-hour session about what you're going to do for the rest of the 5-week, and also, of course, answer any questions you may have. So we'll cover a little bit of curriculum, logistics, a couple of special programs that are part of the 5-week session. So again, we're here to help you, to make you feel welcome, and to just get things started. And I think the best thing we can do to get things started is to play a little bit of music, okay? Is that cool? Yeah. Now, I didn't bring the band, but I'm going to use you as the band. Okay, so I got a drum set, a microphone, and I thought about it. I thought about it this morning, and I said, it's not hard, it's not easy to play music when you don't have a rhythm section, but I figured you guys would help me a little bit. Let's play in 5/4, okay, because that's 5 weeks, so 5. 5 is such a magic number. I want you to clap this. Pretty cool clap in 5/4. rhythm. So yeah, you don't need the band. You are the band. Okay? Yeah, rhythm. Rhythm is such a universal language. You know, you start playing a groove and people from all nationalities, they may not speak the same language, you know, they feel the pulse, they get up and dance and move to it. So it's pretty cool. And that's what we're going to do. So you're here representing the drums. You know, you chose drum as your principal instrument. I know some of you double on other instruments. We heard that at auditions, but drums are your main act. However, as you know, you're going to be in classes where you'll be learning a lot about general music, which is very important. So don't neglect any of the other classes. You know, it's very important to be a complete musician, and you must really focus on the whole spectrum. This is what we do at Berkeley, okay? Today we'll talk about the drum curriculum, but you'll be in ensembles, you have ear training. Everything you do music theory-wise will make you a complete musician. Any of the jobs that I do now, I am grateful I came to Berklee College of Music. That gave me a solid foundation when it came to music in general, okay? Knowing the song forms, knowing your harmony, knowing where you are, develop some ability maybe to sing, do some background vocals. It's very important to give you a complete balance and curriculum. So let's get things started, and let's see. First thing I want to talk about is two main important classes that are really part of the curriculum of the 5-week. One is reading, and one would be technique. First off, how many people have attended 5-week before? Okay, a few, not many, a few. So lots of newcomers. You all have a schedule by now, and if you don't have it, you'll have it shortly. But anyway, you do have two classes that are really important and specific to this department, and those deal with technique and reading. They're extremely important, and I will tell you why right now. Let's start with reading, okay? I'm sure most of you at some point heard stories about those famous drummers that cannot read music. Have you ever heard those stories? Okay, well, I've spoken to some of them, and I know for a fact that despite the fact that, yes, there are drummers that don't read music, that doesn't mean that reading is not important. As a matter of fact, some of those drummers might tell you that they wish they could read music. They regret not having learned music when they could, perhaps at a young age like you guys. So reading is extremely important. And not only that, when you learn how to read music, you also learn how to write music. So let's say that you get a call to fill in for someone on a moment's notice. Drummer got injured, we need you to cover, can you come on tour, we'll leave tomorrow, or we have a couple of shows, whatever is the case, you got to learn 20 songs. Oh, by the way, we don't have charts. We're going to send you YouTube links of our latest performances. Wow, okay, sure, bring it on. Reading is not only about knowing how to read something, it's about you developing the ability of jotting down in very little time all the essential information that you may need to function for that job. So in your reading classes, you're going to start with basic, depending on the level you're placed in, basic note pulses, subdivisions, and the ability to read short song forms and drum charts. And that's going to give you the tools also to basically be able to jot down whatever you may need for you to memorize an entire show. So think about how cool is that you can go on the bandstand the next day and have just enough information on a piece of paper that makes you function and makes you be successful for that show. So in your reading classes, every week your teacher will be giving you 2 sets of reading exercises. One would be mostly based on snare, that teaches the basic notation, a little bit of dynamics. The next one would be actually chart interpretation. It's not just reading there, but the key word is interpretation, because as you become a more advanced drum set reader, you will notice that it's not so much about what's written on paper, but what actually, what you make out of it. In other words, some of the drum notation is not very specific as much as piano or guitar would be, and it's mostly left for you to interpret. So you gotta have two things in place. One, you know your notation, you know where you're supposed to hit those specific figures that you might see on the chart. But at the same time, what's required for a drummer is the ability to interpret and know what to do within that style. So you might see the same figures in bossa nova, in swing, in jazz, pop, rock. You gotta know what to do with that same rhythm in different styles, okay? So reading, very cool class. You're gonna enjoy it. I know it's probably not one of the most popular topics for drummers, but like I said, I tried to inspire by telling you that it's important to read, gives you access to jobs that normally maybe you wouldn't have access to if you couldn't read. Teaches you how to write music and jot down notes for yourself to function as a subbing drummer, or if you're a rehearsal space and you want to jot down a very cool idea you got, you write it down. And in general, it's just something that will make you a complete musician. So remember, there's a ton of books. You'll go to the bookstore. You want to learn about a specific topic, you can buy a book on reggae drumming or hip hop, New Orleans, you name it. If you can read music, then you have access to all of this powerful information. Okay? So readings, thumb up, cool. You're going to go with a smile into your reading classes and a positive attitude, knowing how important it is. Excellent. Technique. Let's move on to the technique classes. That's also one that each and every one of you will have. And that basically, having a good technique for a musician, first of all, I always like to use plural, techniques. There's not one way to hit the drums. And in the class, you'll be exposed to different techniques. You'll probably discuss grip, basic grip, how to hold the stick, the posture on your snare drum, and then eventually on the drum set, because as you know, this might work when I play the snare drum, but the minute I'm on the ride cymbal to play something, I'm in a complete different grip. So you do want to have the basic understanding of this versus that. Also, there might be instances for which you want to play faster at a lower dynamics, and therefore, maybe playing with a French grip might be more beneficial than playing with a Germanic grip, where you can have more volume, but maybe not as much speed and finesse. So in the techniques classes, you're going to analyze with your teacher some of these, and then through the rudiments, through the knowledge of the rudiments, which is basically, the alphabet of drumming, you'll be exposed to learn these specific figures that are very, very important. Every drummer went through those, so will you. You gotta learn them, you gotta practice them religiously, and they'll just get your hands and feet better. Remember, technique, nowadays we associate having great technique with being fast on the drum set, but that's not only the case. In fact, those type of chops are only one limited portion of the chops you could have on the drums. When we think about chops today, it's always about speed. Well, there's dynamic chops, reading chops, finesse chops, musicality chops in general. How well could you get your drums to sound? Sound is very, very important. You might be playing fast, but not having a good sound. And by the way, guitar player, just for you to know, they got pedals, and so they could use the same guitar, but change sounds depending on the styles. When you're on one drum set with one set of cymbals, the adjusting the pedals is your techniques, your control of how you make that drum set sound better for a ballad versus a jazz song, and then maybe the next piece you'll have to play a hip-hop feel. Okay, so learning all these techniques will give you a better control on how to get your sounds in order, and that's very, very important. Okay, so technique, you walk in with a smile into the class. You do want to learn the rudiments, explore the different grips, and the goal for that is for you to get better sounds and better facility on the drum set. And also, avoid injuries. That's another important thing. If you learn how to hold the sticks properly, then you'll play with more efficiency. Okay? Following me so far? Cool? So those are two important classes that are really kind of unique to this department. Jonathan, you want to interject something
Sure.
at this point, or?
Yeah, I'd like to just go over
Sure.
some other information. How y'all? How's everyone doing? Well, good. Welcome to 5 weeks. So I'm gonna just go over some logistical stuff and personnel that are in the department that is going to be helpful to you. First of all, the chair or the interim chair right now for the percussion department is Yaron Israel. He's traveling for Berkeley. Umbria is in Italy right now, so he won't be back till the 23rd, but he's sorry he couldn't be here, but you guys will all be here when he returns, and you can meet him. My name is Jonathan Ullman. I'm the department manager for the percussion department. I'm sort of the point of contact for everything that goes on in the drum department. So, I have the regular Berkeley students, but now that you guys are here, I'm sort of your point of contact for everything. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll put email up after that. We had a slide, but we couldn't get the thing working. A lot of people, tend to reach out on social media as well, if you have any questions there. But email, my office is in, do you guys know where 1140 and 921 are? All right, so those are basically our two offices. Yaron is on the 4th floor of this building. He's a little bit, more difficult to sort of get in touch with, so that's why I'm here, because I am a little more accessible. My office is in 921 in the basement. When you come downstairs, I'm kind of like right to the right in this little fishbowl of an office. So any questions you have, remember that you're only here for 5 weeks, so it's a very intensive time period. This will go by very, very quickly, and you want to take in as much information as you can, and sort of, it gives you an insight to whether or not you guys want to come to Berkeley, when you guys graduate high school and stuff like that. So really take advantage of the professors like Sergio that are here and all the facilities and the networking. That's the biggest thing about Berkeley. Every year we get an email right around Grammy season that says, oh, Berkeley students won another 250 Grammys this year or nominated for something like that. And it's all the network that you create when you're here. That's the biggest part about Berkeley. So if you're shy or you may or may not like to put yourself out there, kind of look around the room and see these people that are all doing the same 5-week program as you. You may find that they inspire you, or you may find these are your future bandmates or stuff like that. So really take advantage, try to be social. That's one of the big things about Berkeley that I can say that I've learned is the most important aspect, because the people that you meet here are probably the people that you're going to grow in your professional career with. Another important person here is Lucas. He was here, but he had to run. He's the equipment manager. One of the big things that he needs to know is when equipment is broken. You're going to be using equipment all over the university. If you find that a hi-hat is broken, or there's hardware that's broken, or cymbals that are broken, reach out to him. He has a bunch of work studies who will be able to run over to those other buildings and fix the stuff that needs to be done. But he won't know unless you tell him. So before you try to fix it yourself or make it worse, it's good to let him know. Your practice rooms are in 171. That's on Mass Ave. they're fully stocked with equipment, so you don't have to bring anything. Just remember, there's a lot of you. This is only group 1. We have a group 2 coming in after you. So remember, plan accordingly. There are busy times at Berkeley, so you know if you notice that in the late afternoon you can't get a room, maybe get up a little earlier and try to go practice earlier in the day to try and get a room. Also, if you're do we have orchestral students here?
Mallets,
Mallets, orchestral. So your practice rooms are going to be in the 921 basement. It's pretty open now. There is still school going on there, but you can kind of like, they have practice rooms that you can sneak into and stuff like that. Do you have a question? Yeah.
How early in the morning do they open?
So 171, I believe, opens at 9. I think they both open at 9. There's usually a work study in the 921 basement at 9. Are you orchestral or drums? Okay, so I'll double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 9, and I think it goes till maybe 10 o'clock. Summer hours are, what?
Yeah, no, I know the schedule, that's why. They go some Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
11:45.
Yeah.
And then for
At night?
weekdays, yeah, no,
Yeah.
11:45 to 11:45.
Okay.
And then weekdays, I think they are 9:30 to 11:45.
Okay. All right. So 11:45 to 11:45, and then Monday through Friday, 9:45 to 11:45. And just remember, the rest of the school is still here using these rooms as well. So you'll start to get a feel for when's a good time to go. But if you have any questions for me, if you have any questions about other than 5-week stuff, just drumming in general, we're all sort of professional drummers outside of the school, and you know we can answer a lot of questions. Yeah, go ahead.
When do the signups go up for
So
All-Star?
they are up now. This is for the showcase.
Yeah.
So the signups are all up now. They're outside of my office on a window. Just remember, you can go right after this meeting is done and run over there. But to make it fair, the group after you can't go until their meeting's over. So if you could wait till 2 o'clock and give everybody a chance, because there's limited spots. So it is up outside my office if you want to run over there. But just remember, there's a whole other group that wants to be able to get the same stuff.
One more question?
Yeah. Yep. So there's all in 921. You'll find if there's a room that has a vibes in it that's being used, they can take the vibes out and move it to a room that like has a marimba in it, and you can use it there. So just speak to the work study there, and if I'm there, you can just talk to me and we'll figure it out. Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't I hear about the audition?
So that's what he was talking about, the showcase stuff for the
No,
the
I mean
All-Star?
about the one that I just did.
Oh, in terms of how you did?
No, like what class I'm in.
Oh, so
Tuesday.
yeah,
The schedule
The
will
schedule
be
then?
issued,
yeah. So
between tonight and tomorrow
yeah,
morning.
tonight and tomorrow. So they have to take all that information. So if you haven't seen it by at least tomorrow, a lot of the information with 5-week stuff in general, like your schedules and stuff, is usually done through the summer programs office. You guys know where that is?
Yeah.
All right, so if you have any questions, they're specifically there. We're kind of like, because you're in the percussion department, we're here as resources, but a lot of the information for the 5-week stuff is
Room
done.
118, I
Yeah,
believe.
is done through the 5-week department.
Thank you.
Yep.
He had a question.
What is All-Star?
The showcase, the All-Star group. So basically, the showcase tryouts. I think did they explain to you what it was? So there's tryouts for the All-Star band.
Yes.
And
On 2 different Saturdays, there's the first round and then the callbacks. July 13th, July 20th.
yeah.
Well, what it is a selected ensembles, plural, that you can get in by auditioning, and if you get selected, you will perform with other musicians that were selected in other departments to form these ensembles, and you'll get to play at the Berkeley Performance Center, which is very cool.
So
So you'll be the biggest venue on campus, and of course, you know, it's great to have a video there and the experience to be on such a big stage where all the stars perform.
So also you have a 10-minute audition. So that's the first Saturday is the 10-minute. That's where we try to get through as many people as we can. They start at 10 and they go till 1:50. And then if you get the call back, you go another Saturday and you go up against the next round of individuals. And you base it on the genre, so you'll see on the form when you sign up.
Okay, and what is the requirements for it?
Yeah, it's just a piece. You just
play it too.
you play a tune, or you can play to a track, or you can
Play a drum solo.
play, something like that. It's super informal. They just want to see what your capabilities are, stuff. Yeah.
So is it then quite similar to the ones that we did yesterday?
Did you do the auditions yesterday?
Yesterday was an audition. The audition, no, that'd be different. You could bring in the same prepared piece, but remember, this is more ensemble geared. In other words, you'll have to play and show us how you could function in an ensemble. Whereas what you did yesterday, we asked you rudiments because we wanted to know in which technique class. A little bit of reading because of the reading classes. And also you had chosen a style, and because of that style, we might have asked you to play certain certain drum grooves that are, specific to that style. The audition for the showcase is more in the league of show the best that you have too. And therefore, in 10 minutes or less, you want to bring a piece that really represents your best playing. Envision yourself, being selected to play in an all-star ensemble. So, you want to really focus on that one performance. So, I think it's different than the
It's
entry.
not. Yeah, it's not a good time to try something you've never tried before. You want to come in and do something that you've done a lot of times,
Right.
just so you're comfortable. with it.
And also, to elaborate a little more, we have had students auditioning, and some of you are here, I'm sure, who might play pop rock on a normal basis back home, but they wanted to enroll in jazz because they realize, wisely so, that jazz is a weakness for them, so therefore, they enrolled in jazz. When you do your all-star audition, you want to play your best, like Jonathan did.
Yeah.
So if you're a pop rock guy or girl, that's what you're gonna do. Instead of, because the style of choice that you do for your entering audition is based on what you want to study. That doesn't mean you're the best. In fact, some wise students, in my opinion, chose to focus on styles they're not as good at. Maybe last summer you were in funk fusion, and now you're doing jazz. That's perfectly fine. It's actually very wise to do so.
Where are the sign-ups at again?
So they're in my office outside on the window. Bring your own pen, because I leave you one and then it gets stolen. So,
Starts at 2 o'clock. Don't go before 2 o'clock.
yeah, it starts at 2 o'clock. Any other? Yeah.
What's the
Sorry. What?
oh, the sign-ups.
Sign-ups. Yeah.
What types of ensembles are there for these extra ones?
So there's one for each of the styles, right?
Yeah. Basically, there
So
is
there's like a pop rock, there's a funk fusion one, there's a jazz
Yeah.
one.
pop R&B with vocals.
I think there's a metal.
Yeah.
Metal one.
Wait, so there's more than 3 this year?
I am not sure
Pretty
if there's more than
the
3.
same. Did you do it last year?
I was here last year.
Yeah,
it was just
same.
rock, funk,
Yeah.
and jazz.
Yeah.
Might be the same.
But they're coupled together. Pop
Yes,
rock
the
is
pop
yeah,
rock is one.
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So same
Jazz,
ones as
yeah.
last year.
Is there,
He's the pro. He was already here. So if you, I say he should stand over here after this and line up with all your questions.
Julia never left.
Yeah.
is there like one of those ensembles for world music?
There isn't in the audition portion of it, but if you're a world music player, they would probably take you as a piece that they can fulfill, a need. So is that what you are studying?
Yeah.
So yeah, so just go in with your world music piece, the stuff that you were gonna play anyways, and then if they really want you, they'll find a way to incorporate you into whatever the ensemble is, because you may fit a niche that they can't find elsewhere. So just go and would do the people who are doing the auditions will know exactly where to put you if they want you to add to it. Plus, there's always anybody here hand percussion? Hand percussion? So if one of the ensembles needs a hand percussionist,
Mhm.
and you're the only hand percussionist, guess what?
Yeah.
you're gonna have a good chance of getting into the ensemble. So if you're the only world style musician and it fits a certain need, then go in and do your stuff and they'll find a spot for you.
Yeah. Okay, we'll open up for questions a little bit at the end, but there is a couple of things that I would like to cover now. And that is there's another required class that each and every one of you will have. Now, it's divided in actually 2 different classes, but let me explain you a little bit. You will all have an ensemble, okay? That's probably one of the most exciting and important pieces of the program. You will be in a class where each week you'll play at least a couple of songs, if not more. And then at the end of the program, you'll have a performance. The performance would be video, taped or streamed or both, or you'll go home with a DVD or a link of your performance. That's probably one of the biggest things that can happen here in the program, and you should all be looking forward to that. To prepare for that experience, here in the percussion department, what we do is we have classes that are preparing you to function better in the ensemble. One is a prep lab. The prep lab is basically, you'll have that on Tuesday or Wednesday, whereas your ensembles would be on Thursday or Friday. That's a chance you have with a drum teacher to work in advance on the same songs that you're going to be working on the ensemble. So some of you may not have great reading skills or may need a little more time to prepare the music before doing it with a live band. That is what this particular lab is all about. It's not called Prep Lab anymore. It's just an instrumental lab where you actually go in and have a chance to review the music, play it, your teacher will show it, the rest of the students will play. There's different ways in which we do it, but the bottom line is that in that class, you will get ready to play the same music that you will play on your ensemble. So it's very coordinated. Beginning of the week, you work on the music more from a drum standpoint, chart reading, how do I play a better, shuffle groove, anything like that. And then you get a chance to do it in the ensemble, which is the real deal, okay? So some of you will have this particular class. If you don't have this class, you will have another one called Styles Labs. The Styles Lab is basically a class that will teach you the needed skills to function better in an ensemble of the style you chose. So let's say you selected jazz. In a jazz styles lab, you're going to work on drumming skills geared to become a better jazz player. So to sum it up, either you have an instrumental lab which prepares you for the ensemble, or you have a styles class. It's either or. They both function the same way to make you a better ensemble player. The difference is that in the instrumental prep lab, you're specifically working on the songs that you will do in your ensemble. In the other lab, in the Styles Lab, it's more of a broad, wider experience where you'll be working on your jazz skills if you're a jazz person, if you signed up for jazz, or if you signed up for pop rock, you'll work more, let's say, pop rock, they might ask you to play more with a click. So you'll do some work playing with a click track. Whereas in jazz, different styles of jazz. It could be a jazz waltz, it could be a jazz shuffle, it could be old school jazz versus smooth jazz. So these classes, you will have one, either or, and the goal is really to make you a better ensemble player, which is, of course, the most important thing because, the drum set, as great as it is, we love it. I love to sit down by myself, practice the drums, but at the end of the day, the most rewarding experience is when you make music with others. and you really get a chance to, experience and put all of the things to work. How is your technique? How am I sounding in this particular style? Again, the grip is very, very important. How do I touch the drums to function in that particular style? So you get a chance to put some reading chops at work because, if you're rehearsing with people, a quick way to pull it off and do music together might be exchanging chords and rhythms and do that kind of thing. So playing with others, probably the best and most musical experience. You'll do a lot of it here at Berkeley. You can probably jam off-site, meaning not off-site. You'll be here on campus, but what I mean is aside from the classes, I'm sure you will get an opportunity to play with your, classmates, maybe do, okay, well, why don't we do some bass and drum rehearsals before the recital so we can get our grooves a little tighter, Don't miss any opportunity. If you hear about a particular ensemble that is needing a drummer for whatever reason, they might open new sections of ensemble. The reason why we asked you if you had a second style choice at the audition, most of you probably got that question, is because there might be, let's say there's more guitar players than drummers, which is typically the case. Everybody needs to be in an ensemble. So what the ensemble office does sometimes is open up new sections, of certain ensemble or totally new classes. And at that point, they might need a drummer. So that means that you could play not only in the ensemble that is really part of your schedule, but they might add one or even two on top of it. Those are great opportunities. If you get called by the ensemble office, of course, it's totally your choice, but I would say take the opportunity. Even if it's not the style you sign up for, you've got nothing to lose and all to learn. At the end of the day, whatever you learn to do with other musicians is really, really important. See, how are we doing? We got time for questions. As far as the curriculum, we pretty much covered it all. Technique, reading, styles lab, the instrumental prep lab, and then, of course, you're going to have an ensemble. Yes?
So during your private sessions, I assume the teacher's going to be helping you with your number one style of choice, right?
Good question. In fact, that is the other course that we must mention and is also part of your curriculum, and each and every one of you does have, is a 30-minute individual private lesson. Now, the private lesson is probably the only one that does not have a set curriculum in place, and that is by choice. It is for a reason. It's good to be like that because you can actually customize and really tailor that lesson to suit your needs. You might have a specific song in the ensemble that you're struggling with, or you might have some personal agenda or weaknesses that you want to address. Your private teacher is the person to go to and say, hey, my goal for this summer was to work on my left hand technique, or I really have problems playing smoothly with my bass drum. Could you check out and see how could I do things better with my foot? Very open curriculum. And to answer your questions, yes. If you selected jazz as your choice, you could certainly work on jazz skills with your private teacher. But, again, it's pretty flexible. It's a class where even each week you could bring in a new question. Or, you might start the 5-week program saying, I want to work on my whatever set skills you decide, and then halfway through the program, because of the ensemble you were placed in, or simply because you changed your mind, or because you noticed that your teacher does something really extraordinary, you go like, hey, why don't you teach me how to do that? Because I can't do it. So you and your teacher should really customize that program. Remember, the lesson is about you, so don't be shy. The majority of the teachers that teach 5-week are actually all year round Berkeley teachers. So we teach all levels, throughout the college program, which means, we're qualified to answer and help you with any of your needs, whether it's technique, reading, jazz, Latin music, styles, you name it. So that's definitely the way to go about private lesson. You guys heard anything about the drum circle?
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually signed up for it.
That I don't know how to sign up for it.
Or, I mean-
Jonathan, do you know anything
like
about
a
the drum
class to
circle?
sign up
Yeah, I got the elective.
Yeah, it's like an elective you chose on the website when you were like signed up for the
I
program.
think I would pick the elective one.
Okay, so it sounds like it's an elective. Again, some of the questions that are not really, part of what we do specifically here in the percussion department, although drum circle, sounds like, because it's a drum circle. But these are actually initiatives that you could ask at the 5-week office. The drum circle is most likely something where they could have a couple more drummers and it won't change the, spectrum of things. In fact, it might make it even a little better. So don't be shy, even if you didn't sign up in the beginning, but you think it's cool. You can still go to the office and say, is there a room? Could I do it? Or could I go just see it when they rehearse? There might be some guys that have signed up originally, but opted out because of schedule conflicts. So don't be shy, go to the 5-week office. If you're looking for playing opportunities, you'll find plenty, that's for sure. Just walk around, ask, and there's always need for players.
I would just sort of stress as one last bit of information is that if this is what you want to do for your career in your life, your network is your most valuable resource. So you are literally coming to a program in which everybody has the same mindset as you. And I can't stress enough that meeting these people and connecting with them and learning from them and being inspired by them is like an opportunity that you won't get very often, because once you've graduated college and you're off in the real world, you're kind of starting from scratch. So if you have a foundation and a network around you, it's just going to make everything better. So don't be shy, or if you are shy, meet somebody else who can help you be social in these environments and sort of meet your peers and have a really good time. I printed out the flyer that was supposed to be on the screen but is on here, so there's some information on there. So on your way out, please pick one up and remember to sign up outside my office after 2 o'clock.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really? Everybody be going during spring break. Everybody.
It's really good if you like party. But people suck.
Really?
I'll be honest, like year round, like summer months, whatever it's cool, they're not used to it. Yeah. But all year,
People always make jokes on Twitter about how Florida people are different breeds.
Oh, it's true.
Like
I'm one of them.
They feel like they're all like they should be their own separate countries.
If I did, if my grandma